Thank you for listening this morning. We are with our next special guest. She is Jennifer Amann. She is the Buildings Program Director for the American Council for an Energy Efficient Economy. Good morning, Jennifer.
Good morning, Kristi.
Thank you so much for taking time out to talk about an important topic that everyone needs to be aware about. Let's go ahead and jump right in, and let's talk about energy efficiency and light bulbs. Now, this is an issue that's affecting both sides, whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, and there's some information that's coming out to better equip us to be able to make decisions about what we need to do as far as energy efficiency within our personal lives, our business, and how that's going to affect the United States as a whole. So if you don't mind, talk to us a little bit about this and your role in helping to get this information out.
Okay, sure. First, thanks so much for having me, Kristi. It's great to be here this morning. It's really exciting, the changes that we've seen in the technology around light bulbs over the last 10 or 15 years. And the products that we have available now, the LED light bulbs, use only a sixth of the power of the traditional incandescent bulbs that we used for so long. I like to point out, Thomas Edison was such a big fan of innovation, and I think he would be really shocked to find that in many of our homes and buildings, we're using the same lighting technology that he invented 140 years ago. So what we've really been doing is pushing with the great innovation that we're seeing from manufacturers to get people to switch to LED lighting technology. And just to give people an example, your typical 60-watt light bulb, which I think is the most common light used in most homes, is now with an LED only uses 10 watts of power, and it lasts 10 to 15 years. So just think of, no more changing light bulbs and saving $50 to $150 for each and every light in your home. Most homes have about 40 lamps. So with that type of savings can really add up. And it's all due to technical innovation, and some of that innovation has been driven by changes in our efficiency standards and the requirements for efficiency in light bulbs.
Jennifer, let's go ahead and dive in to the current administration's deregulation of the light bulbs and how this is going to possibly impact us as consumers and what cost it could have if we end up not regulating these LED lights.
Sure. And I think, the thing that I like to point out about the standards for lighting, this has really been a bipartisan issue historically, and so it doesn't matter where you are on the political spectrum. And I think even given people's different opinions about how much and how fast we should deregulate the economy, this is really a common sense regulation. It was originally passed in 2007 by a bipartisan effort in Congress, supported by the manufacturers and signed into law by President Bush. In 2007, the Energy Independence and Security Act set us on a pathway to more efficient light bulbs. And what this process did, I think many people are aware, around from 2012 to 2014, more efficient incandescent bulbs were phased into the market. But what Congress did that I thought, in conjunction with the manufacturers, they really tried to lay out a time frame for bringing these standards into place so that the new LED technologies, which were very, very expensive in 2007, would have time to grow and mature. They would have time to perfect the technology and really bring the prices down. And that's exactly what we've seen. So the LED products still have a small incremental cost in the market, but that cost is made up in only 6 months in energy savings. So what happens now is the next phase of the standards is due to take effect in 2020. And the original legislation said, let's continue to look. Let's have DOE continue to look and see what technologies may not be ready for LEDs. Given in 2007, they weren't really sure which products might be ready to be LED in 2020. So they said to DOE, take a look when we're a little bit closer to that 2020 date and see if there are other products that could be included. And that's things like three-way bulbs, candelabra or globe lights, some of the special decorative lamps that we have around the house. And it turns out that DOE found that these products were widely available in LEDs and that it was a cost-effective choice for consumers. And the pollution savings are tremendous. So what they decided to do was go ahead and expand those new 2020 standards so that we would benefit from the savings and the pollution reductions from shifting all of these lamps to LED. So now the Trump administration has come in and the new DOE has said, you know what, let's not do this. We don't really need to set these standards. Let's just put a halt in this process that's been in place, and let's, just go back to the way it was and just leave without, this next set of standards. And I think, the reason that we're really working hard to try to advocate against that change is that the impacts of that rollback of these standards is tremendous. We're talking about energy costs of about $12 billion a year. It's about $100 per household. 25 power plants worth of power would need to stay online just for lighting, for residential lighting. That's about the amount of power used in New Jersey and Pennsylvania combined each year. And we're also talking about 34 million tons of CO2 emissions and the other emissions that we get from power plants. So really what we're arguing for is, wherever you are and however you feel about regulation, this is a common sense approach. It saves consumers money. It makes sure that we're not a dumping ground for less efficient products that may be produced overseas. And it really reduces energy bills and pollution impacts. And then beyond that, there are rules in place that don't allow this kind of rollback in standards. So it's really, in addition to everything else, it's counter to the laws we have in place to keep these standards moving forward.
Jennifer, you are the lead author for the American Council for an Energy Efficient Economy's popular consumer guide to home energy savings. So you have been in this field helping consumers for many years. What are some of the benefits of energy efficiency?
So, there's so many benefits to energy efficiency. As I was just talking about, first and foremost, I think in everybody's mind, dollar savings. The less energy you use for the same service, that's just money in your pocket. Just keeping with our example of light bulbs, if you can have a lamp that works exactly the same as the bulb that you had 10 years ago, works exactly the same, looks the same, has the same functionality, but uses only a sixth of the energy, wow, that's just pure savings in your pocket. So that's how it directly affects consumers in their homes. Other types of energy efficiency that you can do in your home lead to great benefits in terms of more comfort in your home, reduced noise, and also better health impacts. We're seeing that homes that are more energy efficient and have had work done to be insulated and have good air sealing and better systems in place can reduce incidence of asthma and other health issues that we have impacting our families. And then finally, across the board, by reducing our reliance on energy consumption, our reliance on power plants, energy efficiency really reduces pollution. And that has both local impacts by reducing pollution in local communities, as well as broader scale impacts by reducing the carbon emissions that are contributing to global warming.
Jennifer, we need to take a quick commercial break here in just a couple of minutes, but if you could stay with us, I've got a couple more questions, possibly how people can find out more information and become better educated about this topic and what we can do to become active to make our voice be known and heard. And then I'd also like if you would talk to us a little bit about energy efficiency and how that improves national security, something that I had not thought about before, because as most of us are consumers of electricity, we are looking at the things that are closest to us in our own homes. But really, this is an issue that's impacting our country and the world. Can you stay with us for a few minutes?
Oh, absolutely. Thanks so much.
We'll be back here in just a moment. This is your host, Kristi Slaughter, on Super Talk Saturday mornings, WFHG 92.9. I'm joined back with my special guest, Jennifer Amann. She is Program Director for the American Council for an Energy Efficient Economy. Thanks for staying with us, Jennifer.
Sure. Thanks for having me.
If you don't mind, before the commercial break, we were talking a little bit about energy efficiency and how that improves national security. Can you talk and elaborate a little bit on that and give our listeners some idea of how people are being impacted through national security and energy efficiency?
Sure. Well, this is an issue that, I think in many ways the landscape is changing somewhat. Certainly in the past, when we were importing even more oil, and even today, we're not importing as much oil, but, oil is a global market. Energy efficiency, by reducing the amount and reliance that we have on oil, improves national security. We know the number of security issues that we have around the world that are related to energy supplies, because energy is so critical to running our modern economy and our modern civilization. So that's something that's really an issue for vehicle efficiency, our vehicles that use oil directly. But it can also be an issue more broadly as we're beginning to see more and more interventions around the world or security issues around the world tied to climate and changes in the climate. So just as we're seeing changes in climate resulting in, crazy weather around the country, the increase in wildfires out west, storms in the southeast, all these impacts that we're seeing here in the U.S., in many parts of the world, those things have been happening for longer and are even more serious. And so we're starting to see increasing numbers of security issues that are tied to refugee issues created by natural disasters and other types of migration related to, people no longer being able to farm their land or otherwise engage in, whatever economic activity they've had where they've traditionally lived. And we're starting to see that tie into more and more security issues around the world. So as that happens, it's all tied back to our use of energy and the emissions associated with energy, which are driving climate change. So the more we can reduce our reliance on energy, not only are we having these local benefits of saving money or making ourselves more comfortable or just improving our own local economies, we'll really see how that can ripple through and have larger impacts from a national security and safety perspective.
Jennifer, there are so many different things that have been incorporated into energy efficiency, saving the American government, its citizens and businesses. I think I had read more than $500 billion a year in savings of energy cost. Let's go back to the potential rollback of the light bulb efficiency standards. And again, if you could share with our listeners the magnitude that this impact will make on us as individuals, our electric bill, and as our economy in general, and then what we can do to find out more information, to educate ourselves on this topic, and to be able to make our voice be known and how we believe that this should be handled.
Yeah, sure. So the savings are tremendous. I'll start off maybe with the individual, and we can build out from there. So the average home has about 40 light sockets or, lamp sockets, and the LED bulbs can save a consumer $50 to $150 per socket, depending on how often that lamp is used. We find that there are about 2 billion incandescent lamps still in sockets out in the country, so it's a really big impact. And in any individual home, it can be make quite a difference. When you scale that up to a national level, the savings that we've calculated in energy bills across the country related to the standards are about $12 billion a year. So that really adds up. That's it's the equivalent amount of power for about 25 power plants. So that's another huge impact. And then, all of the associated pollution impacts. So we really see that ramping up. There are a couple of things that people can do. I would say first and foremost, while you're out running errands this weekend, swing by the hardware store and pick up a 4-pack of LED bulbs and get those in your house right away. That's the cheapest, fastest, easiest thing that you can do to begin improving the energy efficiency of your home and saving money. Over time, the other thing that people can do right now that I think is really important is reach out and contact your local representatives, your senators, and others, and let them know that this is an issue that's important to you and that you'd like to see DOE continue to support the standards and keep us on the pathway that Congress put us on 12 years ago, that we really want to maintain the course and continue to move forward the way that we have been. And I think, contacting those folks can really let people know that this is an important issue for Americans across the spectrum. And then finally, there's more information online to help. Your listeners can certainly go to ACEEE's site. We have a number of resources there. The Consumer Guide to Home Energy Savings that you mentioned, our popular book, has now been translated into a website, smarterhouse.org, and folks can find all kinds of information there on saving energy throughout their homes. And then our friends at the Natural Resources Defense Council have put together a really nice document specifically about the lighting standards, and that's available at nrdc.org/protect-efficiency. And that has some really great information about the lighting standards, about the jobs created through within the LED industry here in the U.S., and really just has a lot of the facts and figures that I've been throwing out over the course of our interview.
Thank you so much for being with us, and thank you for all the work that you're doing, Jennifer.
Oh, thank you so much, Kristi. It's great to be with you.
I hope you have a great weekend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
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 Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.